In the spring of 1996, before Deion Sanders was married to then fiancee Carolyn Chambers, he would meet his second wife, a model slash actress named Pilar Biggers. They met on the set of LL Cool J's sitcom from the 90s, In the House. Now, their relationship began in 1998, the same year his divorce to Carolyn was finalized. Deion said, quote, "After my divorce, God sent someone into my life who has helped me to see that my life really does go on." He also said about Pilar that, quote, "Her beauty caught my attention, but is not what kept me. Of all the women who I dated, she was the only one who took me aside and prayed for me." Now, after dating for 9 months, they got married. At that time, Deion was 31 years old and Pilar was 25. They had a destination wedding in the Bahamas, and you might have heard part of this love story before, but if not, here are the details. It was an intimate wedding in the Bahamas. The wedding was officiated by Deion's friend and spiritual father, Bishop T.D. Jakes. Pilar wore a sleeveless satin wedding gown with a, quote, cutout back and cathedral train. Deion wore a, quote, white silk and marble satin striped morning suit by designer Dave Corbin. Deion gave Pilar a 10-carat diamond ring for their nuptials. Pilar said, quote, "In the process of seeking God, we found each other, and now we have everything we need to go forward." And Deion said about his wife, quote, "Pilar is a good woman with Christian values and has helped me to rebuild the shattered pieces of my life. Miracle of miracles, I am alive and in love again." Now, T.D. Jakes commended their relationship, saying that they approached their marriage from a, quote, biblical perspective. Pilar used to say that she would never marry a man with children, but realized later, quote, that was unfair. She said she got along with Deandra and Deion Jr. immediately because she never tried to, quote, take their mother's place. And their family actually would expand about 3 years into their marriage. In February of 2000, they had their oldest son, Shiloh, and then almost 2 years to the day afterwards, their second son, Shador, was born. And then a year later in 2003, they had their daughter, Shelemai. Now, the Sanders lived in this sprawling 40,000 square foot mansion in Prosper, Texas. This house had 9 bedrooms, 14 bathrooms, a movie theater, an inside pool, an outside pool, a gym, a basketball court, a game room with 2 bowling lanes, and a separate garage for the owner suite. They let Ebony magazine into their home around the time that their reality television show, Deion and Pilar, Primetime Love, aired on Oxygen back in 2008. And then 2 years after that, y'all might remember Pilar appeared on VH1's reality show Football Wives, along with the wives of other athletes. Now, that show lasted for 1 season, but it was good if I remember correctly. Y'all watched it? They were a very beautiful couple with very beautiful children, and sadly, their love story started to come to an end in December of 2011. Deion released a statement that said, quote, "Pilar and I have decided to end our marriage and move on to the next phase of our individual lives with mutual respect. We are friends and our top priority has and will continue to be the well-being of our children. We arrived at this decision prayerfully and carefully in order to be able to pursue what is in both of our best personal interests." However, according to Pilar, this was news to her. Literally, she said she found out about the divorce by going on to TMZ's website. She was heartbroken, but was hopeful that they could reconcile. However, 4 days before Christmas, Deion filed the petition for divorce. And this would be a real nasty battle that would actually drag out in court for over a year. But as the chaos of the dissolution of their marriage would wage on, Deion actually would fall in love with another woman. So, while going through a very ugly divorce to the mother of his 3 youngest children and estranged wife, Pilar, Deion Sanders met Tracy Edmonds at a premiere of a movie she produced. Now, that actually would lead to a business meeting months later, as Deion was interested in creating a reality television show, which would ultimately become Deion's family playbook. They got to know each other better, and that would actually lead to them dating. But while he was beginning to learn more about Tracy, drama in his life continued to ensue. Do you remember the days of folks' mess being dragged out on Twitter or on the Summer Jam screen that was TMZ? Yeah, those days. So in early 2012, Deion's oldest, Deandra, went on Twitter and went off on her stepmama, alleging that she was actually aware of the divorce prior to the statement going public and that she was the one that was doing the cheating. Now, Deion went to a local Dallas radio station to apologize on behalf of his daughter and urged listeners to pray for Pilar and their children during this traumatic time. Now, a few months later, Pilar was arrested for DV after allegedly, quote, kicking, biting, and scratching Deion with a friend. Now, you might remember that because he tweeted through the ordeal. In spring of 2012, after her gag order was lifted following the arrest, Pilar spoke to the press about the details of the divorce because she wanted to share her truth. During this time, Pilar would accuse, quote, Deion of cheating on her with Tracy. She said that her kids are, quote, doing their best as their parents continue to make this divorce very, very public. The following month, a judge ordered Deion to pay Pilar $10,500 a month in child support and $275,000 for legal fees. Spousal support wasn't arranged, however, because Pilar signed a prenup. She received $100,000 as a signing bonus to sign the prenup, and because their marriage ended in a divorce, she was to receive $1 million. However, their custody battle would continue to wage on. Because of the allegations and Tracy's relationship to Deion, she was even pulled in to testify during the custody trial in March of 2013. Because Pilar and Deion had joint custody of their youngest, since Deion had custody of the sons, the judge said he didn't have to continue to pay child support. So then fall of that year, which was again 2013, Pilar did receive custody of their oldest, Shiloh. She told Daily Mail that Shador was with Deion because he was the quarterback of his high school team and that was coached by his father. So while most of that was behind him, Deion's relationship with Tracy continued. Early into their relationship,